Hello, my name is Linda, also known as Torta Jala around the internet, and I love creative journaling and all things stationery. Today, I wanted to share a little fountain pen story time with you regarding my personal experience, literally just dipping my toe into the vintage fountain pen market, and basically, it's sort of resulting in a total fail for me personally. However, it did help me realize what it is that I enjoy or don't enjoy when it comes to fountain pens and this hobby. So, if you didn't know, I bought my first fountain pen, a Pilot Metropolitan, in 2017, but maybe it was more in 2019 before I actually used it daily for journaling. But truly, I was literally just using the pen with cartridges and didn't dive any deeper into the fountain pen community in general. It was only in the last 2 years or so that I paid more attention to other pens, other brands, and bottled inks and the whole community, and sort of fell down the rabbit hole or sliding down that slippery slope, as some people might say. So, in the beginning of this year, I happened upon some vintage Waterman CF pens for sale here in Italy, like 20 or 30 euros. So, it's not a huge investment, obviously, but I also didn't do my research and I know nothing about vintage pens, and I'm not, an experienced fountain pen user. Because after the fact, I realized that most people they wouldn't recommend this model of vintage fountain pen for the fact that the cartridges they don't exist anymore. There's nothing else compatible in terms of converter or cartridge in modern day products. So you're sort of getting yourself into trouble, which is what I did. Unless, of course, you are someone that likes to tinker and like figure things out because there actually happens to be like a really comprehensive tutorial I found in Italian on how to like alter currently available cartridge brands to fit in these vintage pens. Or maybe like these days, if you have a 3D printer, maybe you can like make yourself something. Again, it's all part of the hobby, as opposed to like just getting a pen to write with, right? But through this experience, I realized that I'm not that good at tinkering and I probably just don't have the experience. And so in the fountain pen hobby, I don't think that this arena is my thing. Um, it's crazy because I bought two of these Waterman CF pens. What was I thinking, right? Um, it did come with a cartridge. So at the time, I thought, okay, I'll just get it and like I'll get both of these to play around with. And if I have a cartridge, it should last for some time so that I could enjoy it for a certain amount of time. One, it was, this interest in like vintage pens. Two, it's a hooded nib. So it was something different for me. And also they're gold nibs. So it was satisfying like just a whole bunch of my curiosities at that moment. So I got these pens and I thought that I could mix and match them to form like one pen and use with that empty cartridge that it came with. Because this gold one, it's really pretty. It's still like in pretty good condition. And the inside is where you can see there is part of the like nib section where it meets the nib that's corroded and sort of chipped off. However, this gold and black version that is sort of messed up on the pen body part, like it has some, flaws or use or something, but the nib and the nib section, it looks pretty good. So I thought I would like make a Frankenstein pen with these two and just make them one. So for the price, it was like just, a little experiment hobby purchase kind of thing. Unfortunately, when I got the pens, I realized that they really needed to be like cleaned properly and I don't really have like the tools. I don't really know what I'm doing. And so the black one, it was like impossible to take apart. And the metal parts, they're like really tough to turn and screw. So I just couldn't even like get everything apart to Frankenstein the pen that I had in my mind. And then I did fill up the cartridge to use and test out the pens. And one, I wasn't actually that impressed by the fact that they're gold nibs. Not that the writing experience was bad in any way, but it wasn't like astonishingly good or different for me either. So didn't think like, oh, I must buy gold nib pens now? So, granted, these are vintage pens, and I'm sure gold nibs are like very different from every brand, but it just helped me to learn that I'm not really in a rush. I'm not like lusting after gold nib pens, I guess. But the fail is that after a few days of using this, the ink started to leak all over the place, and I realized that the cartridge was cracked. And I don't know if I did it, like maybe when I was filling it, maybe like I squeezed it. I honestly don't even remember. But it was cracked, and who knows how long like this has been sitting in storage, so anything could have been, the case. But I did try to seal the crack with like some nail polish and like tinker around, but in the end I just tossed it because it wasn't working. And I realized that was not smart either. I should have kept it for reference, right? But yeah, it doesn't end there. You might know that these vintage cartridges, they're not being made anymore, so they're really, really hard to find, either converter or cartridge. If you look on eBay, sometimes you can find it and they're like exorbitant prices. But I guess I got lucky because eventually, like, I found someone in France that said he would like sell me two cartridges because I thought, okay, let me get two so I can like have a backup, but also use both pens. And so, I thought it would work out, and I waited and waited and waited, and the package never arrived. And in the end I did get a refund, like it's not a big deal, but I think the mail got lost. Maybe the cartridges got crushed and the ink was all over the place. Who knows, right? They just never arrived, and the person then didn't seem to want to do like another transaction. Maybe they didn't have any more cartridges. I don't know. I just sort of gave up. So right now, I'm sitting here with two vintage Waterman CF pens. I believe one is a medium nib and one is a fine. Um, they were usable, but right now they are not. And again, there's a tutorial on how to alter maybe I think an Aurora cartridge to make it work, but you need like a balloon. I don't know. Right now, I'm just not interested enough, I guess, to do all the DIY stuff. So, my lesson learned is really one, to do my research before just randomly buying vintage pens. And personally, I also just realized I don't like the tinkering. So, maybe this is not where I get the enjoyment out of my fountain pen hobby. I think right now I'm much more into just playing with inks and using of my pens. So, not so much like the figuring out how a pen works or taking things apart or altering, DIYing, or restoring. Like, I know some people who love that part. They love restoring pens. So, it just depends on what it is you prefer or what you like to do. So, that's my story time of my vintage pen fail and lessons learned. If you happen to know where to get cartridges or how to fashion one in an easy way, I don't know, with accessible materials, do let me know down in the comments. I'm certainly open to like possible solutions, but it's probably not going to be something I tackle like right now. I would need more time, to devote to it and figure it all out. So for now, these pens just sit in this case, and it all looks very like vintage cool. I don't know if this is the original box, but it is a Waterman box, and it has these like old stickers that I left here from some like Italian retailer, I think. It just looks cool. So I like the whole vintage look, but yeah, I guess they are just a bit of eye candy at this point. So thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more stationery videos, please subscribe. I wish you a very lovely day, and until next time, bye.